Hi, how are you today?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you very much. Congratulations, back at it again, season
I
three.
know.
How does it feel coming back to these characters?
It's been a huge pleasure because one of the aims when I first thought about doing the television series, Tom Cohen, who's the executive producer, and I sort of talked about what was the point of turning it from a film into a television show, and one of the main aims was to give it a length, to give it the 3 seasons and to properly follow Hannah from being a girl through being an adolescent in season 2, and finally now to achieving proper maturity. With great difficulty and struggle, it has to be said, in this season, and fighting all sorts of enemies. So to get to that culmination has been obviously a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really enjoying how we've gone from kind of like survivalist and Red Sparrow-esque this season two, and now we're at Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy level of espionage. And it's really interesting seeing all the different threads and relationships. How tricky is it balancing that kind of level of who's good, who's bad, who's working for who?
Well, I think I've always. It's funny you mentioned Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I obviously adapted Le Carre as the Night Manager, so Le Carre is very influential for me. However, I did keep him at bay a bit in the first 2 seasons because he's very male, and I was thinking, well, actually, no, it's more interesting actually to pursue the journey of a young woman coming out, as you said, coming out of the woods, coming into adolescence, discovering sexuality, and at the same time being chased and harried with people trying to hunt her down and people trying to kill her. However, when it came to season 3, the crux of season 3 is Hannah really discovers who made her and what that organization is and how does it work. So, of course, it's a secret organization. It's covert. No one knows who runs it. And therefore, we are suddenly plunged into the world of espionage. And suddenly I felt like all of my enthusiasm for that genre, whether it be Le Carre or Graham Greene or some of the great spy movies of the 1970s, the American ones, the Parallax View, to give you one example, I suddenly felt I could utilize all of that enthusiasm and love that I have for that kind of genre, which is more, yeah, it's more labyrinthine. It's more plotty. There are false trails, red herrings. There's betrayal, but it's very enjoyable, and I love writing it. But I never lost track, I hope, of the emotional center of the piece, which is still a young woman who is struggling and exploring how to be properly who she is, and to try and defeat those people who don't want to let her do so.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like all your training and all of Hannah's training has culminated into season three.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the culmination, and it goes to a big political level. It goes to a big discussion about an organisation that is really monitoring and punishing young people, and of course, Hannah is the perfect example of that, and she becomes the warrior for the young in this season. That's what she is, and so it is. I think it's a great culmination of her because she obviously at the beginning she's simply fighting for herself. She's desperate to know who she is. She's desperate to escape both the hunters that are after her, but also to an extent her father's control, or her pseudo father's control. In the second season, she's learning to understand human relationships, learning to grow up essentially. But now she's becoming her own proper woman, and so she can absolutely fulfill her destiny to its utmost.
Absolutely. What I find fascinating is that at a time where she I think she has to kind of be calm and collected, she's sort of becoming undone by normalcy and a loving relationship, and falling in love in that aspect is sort of causing her to come undone in a different way. How was it
Yes.
bringing that element into?
Well, we'd explored with Hannah sexuality before. What we'd never properly explored was love, the actual feeling that you're suddenly responsible not just for yourself, but potentially for one or even maybe more than one other person, as happens in this season. And I found it of all the things, the most bold thing we did, because it's so potentially cliche ridden. And I think it's great credit to Esme, to the directors led by Sacha Polak, and to Adam Bessa, who plays Abbas, that it never really feels like that. They're never safe, which always helps. They're constantly on the run. But they also, something about their relationship that's thorny and difficult. It never becomes cutesy or saccharine. It's just not that's not our taste, and it never will be. It's got a hard edge. It's got a hard edge to it. So for me, I'm probably most proud of, because it's an area which I think is fraught with the risk of going into very, very hackneyed ideas of, oh, now suddenly she's in love, but that never happens. She's always the warrior. She always carries on with her political and her goals. She wants to sort of defeat the organisation that's menacing her. And he, as you say, he becomes a responsibility that, in a sense, makes that more difficult. And she finds that very problematic. It would be far easier if he didn't exist, but he does.
Wouldn't love always be? Life be easier if love didn't exist.
Life would always be easier if we were alone.
So obviously bringing in Ray Liotta in this as the big bad of season 3. How was it introducing him as this new character without giving too much away? But he is wonderful and terrific and menacing here.
What we knew was we were reaching the climax. We knew we were reaching the deep heart of Utrax, and we needed someone to embody and personify that. And I just personally have this extraordinary memory of Ray Liotta at the end of Goodfellas closing the door. At the end of that film, he's narrated the whole film. It's his voiceover. It's one of my favourite films. It's an astonishing movie. And that moment and that voice and that sense that the menace is somehow not over, even though he's closing the door in this suburban house, he's just got menace all over him. And we needed something that was just going to bring some new dark energy, a real violence to the table. And Ray's actually a lovely, lovely man, but he's not afraid of going there. He's not afraid of it. It's just in him. He can go there. And I think it was something that Marisaa really wanted and appreciated, and so did Esme. It's just another big player at the table.
Absolutely, and I can't wait for people to see season 3. It's so exciting and exhilarating and engrossing from the start. So well done and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Everybody, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And it's been lovely to talk with you.
And you. All the best. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!